Okay, everyone, we'll get started. Thank you for attending today's seminar on the changes to BVEssentials 6.3, which is being released in the next few days. We're going to go through several points. I'm going to go through some just as slides and then dig into some parts of the program in more depth. So what we're going to look at today is what versions we're compliant with. We've made some changes to company settings, some server changes, some additions to sales orders, purchase order additions, customer additions. We've added accounts receivable, we've added a general ledger, and we've added account reconciliation. Okay, so what's BVEssentials 6.3 compliant with? We work with 2011, which is 7.5, 2013, which is 7.6, and 2014, which is 7.7. And as you probably know, there is no 2012 version. So, new company setups, we can now add new salespeople in BVEssentials, we can add territories, and we can add job costing. I'm not going to go those in detail, they're just new entries on the edit screen. Okay, this is just a screenshot of the server setup. Some of you may not have seen this, but it's on your server or a computer acting as your server. And what it does, it handles the synchronization of the data. It used to be that it synchronized every X amount of time, and some of you who are using add-on programs for either web stores or catalogs or order picking software or whatever, it wasn't being synchronized soon enough, so we had to go in manually and set those. Now it's very easy to change. You basically just change your frequency to whatever you need. You can do it never. So for historical type files that you really never want to synchronize, to every minute to weekly, so anything in between. And then you basically just select which file you want to do and which one you want to select. So, okay, in sales order, we've had job costing since version 6, but the whole order was job costed to a single job, but now we have line-by-line job costing. So on each line of the order, as seen here, you can choose a job and an account to get it posted to, and this overrides whatever's on the header of the sales order, and it posts that line to that particular job. Okay, we've added a new feature to order deleting. So if you delete an order, we make you type in a reason why you're deleting it, and it's saved in the database. Purchase order, we've added job costing to the header part to start with. That's coming to line by line as well in 6.4, but for now it's one purchase order per job. And then we add weights. We've had weights in sales orders for a while, but we now have the weights in the purchase orders line by line with a total weight at the bottom as well. Okay, something you've all been asking for. We've had group edit in inventory for a while, or for quite a long time, but never in customers. Now we have the capability of highlighting a group of customers, hitting the edit, and allowed to edit the things like the salesperson, the territory, the credit limit, things like that can all be done as a group. So if you choose, for instance, salesperson like I've done here, you pick what salesperson it belongs to, so you can switch everything from one salesperson if they leave to a new salesperson in one fell swoop. All right, so we're going to start on accounts receivable. So if we click on the accounts receivable tab, you'll see that we now have a listing of all of our customers that owe money, and because of everything else you're used to in BVEssentials, now you're going to obviously realize that you can sort these. So now if you sort over 120, I get to see all my over 120 customers at the same time. So I can figure out, who I should be calling. We've got their phone numbers beside it, and of course the contact you can drag over, so you got the contact right next to it. And then if you need to, you can highlight that particular one, and you hit the print button, and you can choose account statement and just print off a statement or email off a statement to that person. Oh, popped over my other monitor. So there's my statement. So I can do that right from list. Okay, or if you want to use one of my filters that of course you're used to now in version 6s, I've got filters that I've predefined. I can set up as many of these as I want to. So if I choose, say, 60, 90, 120, this is just my customers that are over 60, 90, and 120. So they have something in one of those columns. And I can shorten that even more by going just the 90s and 120s. And then, of course, I can manually change this and say remove my 90, and these are just my 120s. And then with our filters, which you can see in a previous versions, I can now save that presets, call this over 120, and save that. And now that becomes another filter that I can select off this list or add it to my columns so it becomes another one over on the side here. Of course, I can move that up to where it should be. So now I can choose that. So now let's say I'm working all my over 120s. I want to send a statement out to each one of them. Very simple. Highlight every one of them. Press my print button. Click my email button. Choose the contact I want to send it to, and you can send this to contact 1, 2, or 3, or the main contact. So I choose my billing contact, or I may call it accounts payable or whatever I want. Now these are my over 120, so I really want to get a little bit tough with them. So I choose my template called statement strong warning, and you can set up however many of these as you want. So it says important statement from ABC Electronics, their accounts payable, records show your account is severely overdue. Until it's cleared up, we're not able to ship any more product. So if this wasn't a strong and you just want to send a statement, you could choose one of the other ones, which is a little bit lighter on the customer. So then you basically hit the send mail, and it gets sent out to each one of them, gets merged out to each customer. Okay. I'm going to go back to my non-filtered list here, and I'm going to go into a customer now. And I can go into open up the customer itself. There's the account receivable. So there's everything they owe us at this time. This is like all open items. And I can, of course, show my closed items as well by clicking the Show Closed button. And I can see them in here. And I can expand those to see what's linked to them. Very simple to unlink something. I can just hit it and choose my unlinked transaction to click it open. I won't run it right now. And then I can unlink that. Or I want to show everything, expand all. So that way I'm seeing everything that's linked to each transaction. That way if I'm searching for something, it'll search the whole list. Okay. To view a transaction, I simply highlight it and look at the journal entry. So there's a GL entry here. And if it's an invoice that I'm looking at, I can go view source, and it pops open the invoice. Now the beauty of this is if I decide I want to credit this invoice out now, I don't have to go out of this module into my billing module. I simply hit the credit button, brings up the invoice in reverse, hit the invoice button, it posts it to AR and inventory and everywhere else, and then ends up in my AR module ready to apply the credit to one of the accounts. So very simple. We try to make it so you can do everything within the modules as much as we can within BVEssentials. So by just highlighting and drilling down, we allow you to get up to other parts of the program. So in this case, if I want to send the customer statement from in here, I can do the same thing, hit my print and print off statement, or any other reports you may have in there as well. I do have access to the customer itself. If I open customer, it pops open the actual customer's card, and I can look at things like sales history, or more likely I want to look at open orders, because if they're overdue, I want to see what else we're just about ready to ship them. And from here, I can go into these orders, have a look at them as well to see what the actual order is. And if I want to, I can put the customer completely on hold at this time. That way, we don't ship any more products to them. Okay. All right, so if you're going to decide now that you want to charge them some service charges, we can just hit the apply button here, and it just does this one customer. It allows you to put the date you want to post the transaction for, whatever interest rate. This comes from the setup, the system setup of the program, where it picks your rate you set up for it, and then it calculates it out. You can adjust these on the fly. You can change the amount you're going to charge them if you want to round it out, or then you can do that right from here. All right. Okay, so lastly, in accounts receivable here, we want to show how to pay something. So basically, I just highlight what I want to pay. It shows our total down here, $22,000, that I'm going to pay now. And I just hit the payment button. It pops up my post screen. You may want to put a reference number if they're paying by check, or a memo as well. Notice that this post automatically flag is checked. That's because my user setting is set to have it so that the auto post is on, so it always just posts automatically. But I'm also set to allow to change that. So instead of making you close this whole screen because you forgot to turn off auto post and going back to the setting and turn auto post back off, and then coming back here and do it again, we allow you to on the fly change that setting as you go, if you have access to that. And then I simply hit my post. My GL entry comes up. I can redirect this GL account to whatever GL account I want, if it's Visa or some other payment method, and I simply hit the post button. So now my transactions are gone and linked, of course. But if I go back to show closed again, and I show this payment, notice what we did there was that we linked all the transactions underneath of the payment itself. So you didn't have to make sure that the payment was, put the payment in first, and then tick it first, and then all the payments, and then link them. We just automatically link the payments. In addition to that, because of our capability of highlighting everything, it's very simple to highlight it all and hit the unlink with one transaction instead of having to go click, unlink, click, unlink, click, unlink. So it unlinked everything automatically. And again, for linking, simply highlight and link the transactions, and they're gone again. Okay. So that's our Accounts Receivable module. We think it's using the same interface as Business Vision. You're free to go ahead and use AR and Business Vision or BVEssentials. Same database structure. Just remember, you need to set that refresh rate a little higher if you want to work in both places. But we believe the interface we put on Accounts Receivable is very easy to use and very easy to learn, and gives you a lot more power and access to your Accounts Receivable. One thing I should show you while we're on this list here is that if I do want to charge service charges to all my, say, over 120 customers, I highlight that, set a filter or highlight, and I can apply finance charges from here as well. Then it brings up all the customers, what it's going to charge them, and again, we give you a chance to tweak this before you hit the post button. But once you hit the post, it just posts that transaction to their account. And of course, we do respect whether the customer is set to having a flag set for whether we charge them service charges or not. All right, so we're going to go on to the General Ledger module. So we have 3 tabs when we go into General Ledger. So the first one is similar to the Business Vision Master Browser, where it shows you each of the groups, and then we give their totals of those groups. So we look at, say, for instance, the gross sales. We can hit the expand button, and we see each of the amounts of the sales in here. So in here, I can drill down, of course, to the transaction. I'll just briefly go in there because I'm going to show you the drill down shortly. Okay, this list is not sortable. It's because of the capability of doing this expand, but we allow you to do that from this Accounts tab, so it's the same thing. So this is just really to look at a summary. It really gives you a quick picture of where you are for the year to date. Okay. Under the accounts themselves, this is where you would edit accounts, but of course we do allow you to drill down into the accounts from here as well. And you can use filters. So I only want to see my expense accounts. I choose one of the filters that I created earlier. It just basically says where the type is one of expense, and I can put multi-ticks on here so I can look at, if I want to just look at, liability and assets, I can do that as well. Okay, but I save this one's expenses. Okay, and then back to the whole list. From here, we do allow you to sort this list, so you can sort by the balance to see everything in here. You can sort by and search for a word within in the name or the groups or anything like that to find something as well. Okay, and then in transactions, this is every transaction that's happened in the system for 3 years. So last year, this year, and next year. So every transaction is here, and again, it is completely sortable. So if I want to now find something within here, I can type something up the top here. So if I, for instance, want to search for a customer's transaction, I can type in the customer code, and it brings up every transaction that I did to ACE. So these are invoices, these are, looks like a payment, and any transaction, a layaway, a deposit order, all of it is visible from here. Or if I want to look at, say, a particular check number that I've written to a vendor, I can just back to transactions. I can type in a check number. I got one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 7, 6, 6. So there's my check number, and you'll see here is for accounts payable. I can look at there. I paid it to Insight Sound, and again, I can drill down on it and see the whole transaction from here. And you'll see both sides of the transaction there. Okay, so it's very easy to search and find something. Or if I want to search for a vendor, I can type TXR, and I find all transactions to that vendor, purchase orders, purchase order closes, payments, everything I can find on that particular vendor. So very easy to find things within the system. Okay, again, filters come into play. So if I only want to see expense, that's the filter set for accounts. Go back here. If I only want to see journal entries, so these are just general journal entries. So I've got here where the source is GL. Only payroll transactions. So this is just items that came through payroll. Sales orders, see those here as well. Accounts payable, accounts receivable. You can do basically any one source that are available to you, you can create a filter for those. For general journal entries, and when I've got this one called recurring that I created, so basically all this is recurring, is that the memo contains the word recurring. So notice here that I did a general journal entry for some things that come out of my bank account every month. So I've got a charge for bank charges, a bank loan, a car lease, so I can look at my recurring. But so this is not meant to be completely a reoccurring entry. You can use it as such, because from here I can go copy, post this now to next month, and then hit post, and that transaction gets posted. Or of course, if I do want to reverse it, I can hit the reverse button and do it as well. And then because some monthly transactions change slightly each month, you can't use the recurring module, because that's meant for entries that are exactly the same. In this case, it's pretty simple, because I can go down here and change the amount that I'm about to post to the GL by simply just changing my dollar amounts. Of course, it has to be balanced before you hit post, but then I just hit the post button and post that transaction. So it's very, very good for putting in, you create yourself a journal entry once for all your bank rec items, and then just basically go back to that one and duplicate it, change the date on it, and post it for the following month. All right, so now let's have a look at the accounts themselves. So we saw this is transactions for everything, well, except if I've got a filter set. If I remove it, that's everything. If I go to an account now, and I say search for, or go to a, go to the expense account shown here, remove my filters. Okay, so that's all my filters gone. I can now pick up an account like sales. So let's find a name. Let's go to a sales account, and we'll go to sales of handheld devices. I drill down to it. So this is the account. Here we have the transactions. Again, same as the information we saw inside the transaction tab there, but in this case, we are only seeing the transactions that belong to this one. So we get the same capability here. We get the same sorting capability, the same search capability, but it's limited now to the transaction that actually belong to the sales of handheld devices. We look at the balances. So this is the month-to-month changes and the month-to-month closes. So if I look at say June here, and I drill down, we only show the June transactions. So if you're going through and you're looking at the first transaction, you're going through each transaction trying to find something, it stops when you get to the last transaction for the month. So that way you're not going through transactions thinking you're into the month of June, where it's now gone into July. Okay, this is a little different than what Business Vision does now, because when you drill down to a month, it shows you from that month forward. We've done it this way for now. If we get any objections to the way we've done this, we'll put in an option if people truly do want to see from then onward. But for now, that's the way we've done it. The history tab, so we only got 1 year that's been closed. We go drill down in here, same information in here. I can drill down into a month. There's my transactions, all my searches. I can search through all transactions in history from here. So any month that I choose, I see all my transactions. And again, so you should go back into it, look at the transaction. And if it's an item with a source like an invoice or a purchase order, again, I can view that source and credit it from here. But of course, it's not going to go back to history. It'll go to our current month, or the date you chose that you're allowed to post to. Back to transactions again. So one of the things that people search for a lot in their transaction is the history of a purchase order. So if I'm going to go in here and I type in a PO number, so I'll put in 00003000297. So there is transactions that happen with that PO number on it. Notice we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different journal entries that happened. So the first one was a receiving. that happened. The second one was a further receiving on the same PO, and another one, and finally the PO close. So this way, if you are investigating a purchase order, you want to see what you've all received for it. You don't have to go hunting around and searching the list for PO numbers to find it, because it's very easy to find. And again, if I double click it, I also view the source. Now when I hit the source on a PO that's been posted, you'll see that it's gone into the PO history. So if I now want to look at a PO that has not yet been closed, so I'm going to look at a source of 298. So here's a PO. You see there's a receiving been done on it, and I go into it and I say, yeah, that's a receiving. But if I view source now, it drills down to the purchase order in the purchase order module. So we'll see that it's not yet been closed. So instead of just saying that you've got a receiving, we allow you to go into it and have a look at the actual purchase order. And because the way BVEssentials is written, like every other module, when you drill down to something, you get full access to it. So you can actually come here and do a further receiving on this right from here if you wish. So this one's got 6 received so far, and I'll receive 6 more. And if I hit the receive button and I can post my reports, then I can now have a further receiving on that same purchase order. If I refresh this screen, that's actually I didn't post it, so, but that screen would show up here that I've now had a second receiving on that same one. All right, so that's the last I want to show you in the General Ledger module. And lastly, we're going to look at account reconciliation. Not a whole bunch different than what you're used to now in the reconciliation, but again, if I choose my General Ledger and clear my filters, and I will go to my account at the top, my Royal Bank account here, and I drill down. So here's my account. I can see my balances, transactions, but I got a reconcile button right here. So we put the reconcile button inside the account you're having a look at that you're going to work on. So you pop it open, and you'll see I've got a reconciliation already started here. Again, all the columns are searchable, or sortable, including the one that you've checked. So if you're going through a transaction and you've just got a few left, and you're trying to find them on the list, you can simply just sort by the check column. Notice that there's no date at the top here. So when I started this reconciliation, I'd forgotten to put a date on, or maybe I wanted to change it. We allow you to change that date anytime you want, even after you've started a transaction. So if you're working on May, I can filter this out to just show me my May information. So now I've got a shorter list. And my starting and closing balances, we also let you change those even after you've started. So I don't know how many times I've done a bank reconciliation when I used to do them, and I typed in the opening balance or the closing balance slightly wrong, and now I have to start over again because I have to rekey those numbers in. So very simple to do that. Viewing journal entries, same as everywhere else. So you can view your GL entry and reverse it if it's a GL journal entry that you put in. You can also create journal entries, of course, but notice when we do that, we're smart enough to know that, well, you're probably going to be using the bank account as the starting point. So we do fill out the first account number for you and allow you to put in the amount. And then here I go and find bank charges, BA, bank charges expense, $50, and post it, and then I put that entry in. So that way I'm not having to move out of here to be able to do those entries. Okay, so lastly in here, show reconciled and not. So we can turn that on. Now nothing changed here because I got nothing in the unreconciled in this particular month, so let's just take out my date. So you notice now that if I scroll down, I see all my reconciled transactions. So they're all in the same table, so there's no reason why we can't show them to you together instead of having to close this and go back in to check the unreconciled. So at this point, if you made an error last month and you want to link it with a different transaction, you can uncheck it. Now, just like in Business Vision where you show the reconciled ones, if you do that, you're going to, of course, put it out of balance again. But just allow you to see that all at the same time. Much, much easier to do that way. And I can just uncheck it again, and then they're gone. All right. Okay. When I want to import from here, I can hit my import button. Very similar that you're used to now. You browse for the file that you've downloaded from your bank, QFX or whatever it happens to be. I haven't got one to show you with this database set, so I'll explain what happens here is that the side of the transaction table will fill out with all the bank transactions, and where it can match the date and the amount, it will put a tick mark on both of them. What will happen, though, is when I highlight one of the ticked ones, a little box will open up right in the bottom here that shows the details of the QFX file. So things you aren't normally seeing on the QFX, it shows you the information that you would see on the bank statement, the exact wording that the bank has put in on the statement, so you can see that. Okay, that is the end. We have a lot of people online, so I will take questions. Just type your questions. I'm not going to open up the phone lines because it would be we tried that once before in a past seminar, and it was a crazy free-for-all. So what we're going to do here is if you type your questions in where you see on your screen, if I move this over, yeah, so you should see a place to type a question under the question section. I don't have a question section because I'm the moderator, but there's a section here called questions. Just type that in, and we'll answer them one at a time. So I see we've got a few questions already. All right, so in AR, can I apply part payments to multiple invoices for one customer to accommodate holdbacks? Well, we don't do holdbacks at this point. We have thoughts about it in the future, but we're just going to get the base modules out of the way first, and then we'll tackle some holdbacks later on. Allocation accounts supported? Yes, we do support allocation accounts. As a matter of fact, what I didn't show is under the company setup. So if I go to Edit, Company Settings, and I bring that over here under General Ledger, there's all our allocation accounts. So I have some in here. So we'd allow you to create allocation accounts in here, to create new ones, and we can post them, of course, too. So you can use all those from in here. The other thing while we're in here I may as well show you is that we also allow you to create your segments, your segment lengths, and whatever your whatever you can use for segments, and then add divisions. So if you're going to turn on divisionalization, you can add new divisions right from in here as well. Okay, let me just get this question screen a little wider. What is the status on Pervasive going forward, as BVEssentials will be placed with BV? Did I say that? I didn't say that. Somebody said that. Well, for now, we're on Pervasive. Our databases that we use for linking with Pervasive is not, well, it's another database, and whether we move completely to that database or another one at some time in the future, that will happen. But for the next year, we are definitely going to be staying with Pervasive. At some point, we will move up to the newer version of Pervasive, but at this point, we're going to stay where we are. Can you search for an amount in account reconciliation? Yes. So in account reconciliation, when you're in that screen, you just sort by amount, and then just scroll down to the one you want. So if I'm in accounts here again, Royal Bank, and I go into reconcile, I just search or go on the credit amount, and I just come in here. I'm not sure if you can actually type and search here. 28. Yep, you can search for it too. So you can just search directly down for the amount. How long will licenses be available for Pervasive 10? Well, they don't make them anymore, but since the company, I think it's called Activa or something like that, bought Pervasive from Pervasive, it seems like they've released lots of licenses, and we've never had any problem getting them at this point. But like I said earlier, we will be moving at some point to a newer version as well. What is the cost going to be for the new modules? Well, anybody who owns sales orders now will get these modules automatically. There's no extra charge as long as you're current on your software assurance. These modules will be included. At some point when the product comes more complete, the price of the product will go up, but you won't have to pay extra for that if you already own it. So if you own our product at the price it is now, of course the software assurance will go up somewhat based on the new pricing, but the modules do not have to be purchased if you already own it. We do not have Accounts Receivable tab in our system. Is this new module? Yes, nobody's got it yet. Nobody has this version yet. We have not released it. It's coming out in, well, probably the next end of this week. Most likely we'll be doing a release on it. You speak with your business partner for when to get it installed to make sure everybody is familiar with everything, so you can learn how to use it. Now the good news is that if you install it, you can still use a Business Vision General Ledger and Accounts Receivable, so you're not forced to use it. How does refresh update BV data inputted from within BVE? Well, if you import the data from BVE, you do not have to refresh the data. It updates the tables automatically. When you change a customer or salesperson, does the history move over with the new salesperson? No, it does not. And I knew, Christine, that you were going to ask that question because I know your situation. But at this point, it does not. We have got a ticket somewhere in the works that at this point that we will change history as well, or at least we have some other ideas around that as well. An order entry, when you post an order, do you get to see the journal entry screen so you can change? So no, that's coming. Now that we've written the journal, the general ledger portion of it, we have that capability just to put that into place. We do have that, of course, in accounts receivable, and we're going to add that into order entry too. But remember that in order entry, you can change the journal entry where it goes, because line by line, we allow you to change the sales, the cost of goods, and the inventory account when it posts. Okay, we have 5.10.13. Is AR included with this, or do we need to buy or upgrade? You just need to upgrade. You do not need to purchase it as long as you are on your software assurance is paid. Next one is, when is accounts payable coming? Well, actually, I should bring up my last slide. Go right down to the end. So here's what's coming, and this is the first quarter of 2014. So accounts payable, including batch payables, the company set up so you can add new companies and add settings, copying and editing users, multi-currency setup and control. So this is where you would create the currencies, set the currencies on a monthly basis or however often you do it. An import and export module to be able to import data plus export data, file reindexing and reorganizing, a year-end function, recurring entries, and et cetera, et cetera. So whatever else we got to put into there as well would be there as well. So that's what's coming. Can you create checks, payments in BV? Not yet. It's not until we get the accounts payable module written. Will be early 2014. And will the name appear in the bank? The payee show up in the bank account? Well, yes, because you don't need. Yeah, it does already. Matter of fact, if you put this version in, you go to and you do your checks from your Business Vision, you can now just type in the payee's name; it'll find it already. But I know, Lisa, you have brought that up with us before, and we are thinking about putting it into a better place so you can see it more visibly as well. Can you do journal entries for multiple divisions at once? You can, but you have to use that interdivisional account that you post in between them. So, because otherwise the division will become unbalanced. When will a suite of reorganization tools be available? So I think we answered that question. It's going to be coming in early 2014. Can we see the reconciliation report? No, I haven't got one. Peter has not quite finished it. I was going to show it, but it's a bit rough still, so we'll have that in pretty shortly. Are you recording this session so we can watch it later and show staff? Yes, it's being recorded, and we will post the video in the next couple of days. Can we do payroll and AP functions, or we still need Sage? Well, at this point in 2014, we are not going to have payroll. You will have to use a Business Vision payroll, and we're not sure exactly what we're going to do with payroll. Either we're going to integrate with a different payroll system that's available, or write our own, or yeah, you can certainly continue to use a Business Vision 1 at this point too. Are the data sets used for GL and AR the same as BV? Yes, they are. So same thing. Can you use either BV interchangeably for GL details, or do you have to run them separately? No, you can run them simultaneously, but like I said, the refresh has to be set a little higher than the hourly, so you can see them in BVEssentials right away if you do them in Business Vision. Will you be creating a electronic file for AP transfer for bank EFT? No, but there's a product that interfaces with BVEssentials, and they will be integrating it more tightly inside of BVEssentials as well. Will we be able to view sales stats in the same manner as BV, quick glance of yearly totals? We do that now in inventory already. You just hit the print button. In customers, I don't think we do. I'll make a note that we'll have to. there's certainly some of the things we have to be putting in. There are little places here and there in Business Vision that, certain features that we'll have to pop in when we can. So, do you have a user manual? No, Cindy. Do you want to write one for us? The only thing we got at this point is our video manual, and it's online in the BVEssentials.com, and you'll see it's indexed. The new modules are not up there yet, but we will shortly. Again, a question about EFT, which I think I answered. And I think I got to the end of my list. Unless there anybody else that has any questions at this time, we'll just give it a minute or two more. So we still have most of you connected. So please answer EFT again. Okay. So the EFT, we won't be doing it directly, but there is another third-party application that's been written called Zeco Pay that interfaces with Business Vision now, and will be integrating with our accounts payable module when we come out with it. And we are in talks with them already for them to develop the product so it works inside of BVEssentials. So, a quick glance at sales stats in the inventory columns. Okay, sure. Let's have a look. Escape in inventory. So if I go to an item like a CD204 and I highlight it and I open it up, we got two places that we have that. So we've got that under statistics, so it shows month by month, year by year, how many we sold. And this doesn't just show the last 3 years, it shows every month, every year. But under the print button, we have this one called Inventory Sales Statistics, and that, one other monitor, is pretty well identical to the report that you're used to seeing now in BV. So that's all the information right there. I believe that's what you're asking about, Lisa. Where was I left off? Are you going to demo this at BVIP? Yes, of course, absolutely. My whole purpose for living is to demo this at BVIP, and won't be too much more than you've seen today, but it we put a feature freeze on 6.3 because we keep adding, it'll never end. So, can you create a custom field for AR and AP to reflect account adjustments? Not sure what you mean by that. I see who asked the question, Sylvia. I will find out what you mean. I'll contact you and find out what you mean. Does Sage Payments work with BVEssentials? No, not at this point. One of our steps next year is to create integration with payments solutions. Sage Payments is on the table, of course, but also other ones that are out there, because Sage Payments isn't the only one that can do the job, and there are some others. So we don't want to force people to pick a particular one. One more category that shows average monthly sales stats based on a year. Yes, we are going to put that in 6.4, where when you go into the inventory list, so if I open up my inventory, it won't be in this version, but it'll be in the 6.4 one. No, sorry, don't open. From this list here, the column that says available on hand, back ordered, committed. We'll have another column that says last year's sales, this year's sales, so you can see how many you sold last year, how many you sold this year, and then, of course, next year as well. So we'll have those stats quickly and easily, so that way you can plan your selling of products a lot more. Currently do not have the AR GL showing up. Will they show up once you upgrade to 6.3? Yes. Well, they won't show up. They don't show up automatically. The first thing you have to do once you've installed 6.3 is go into the users. So if I go User Settings and I pick the user, I have to go to my, actually, if you type the word Access up here, so you'll see the, oops, spelled it wrong. So Access Communication, Access General Ledger, you tick that one on. Access Accounts Receivable, tick that one on. And then we have access to all the other ones as well. Other settings, most of them already been there in the past, but you just have to turn on access. By default, that's turned off for General Ledger and Accounts Receivable. But of course, we do respect all of Business Vision's settings for the modules as well. EFT functions will be an additional product to buy, yes. So you do need, it is a separate function. So, because not everybody needs it, so it's not fair to bundle it in and have everybody charge it. So, okay, will we have a business intelligence module? Well, we don't ourselves. We're another product that's available out there does integrate with our system. The one that's built into Business Vision doesn't analyze, of course, our sales order tables. It does everything else, but not sales order tables. Functionality is way, way beyond of what the one in BV does as well. So, okay, I'm skipping over all the congratulations. All kinds of people are saying congratulations, looks great. Thank you very much for your comments, and I hope you'll be happy with it. An AP will be able to pay, say, Bell Telephone by Visa or to another AP account. Not yet, but that is coming. We want to basically get the functionality in first to get the AP module out. Actually, that's AP. We haven't done that one yet. It may come in on time for 6.4. I know I use it all the time with our payables. We're always redirecting off to another account. What we'll probably have basically is, you go into your payables modules and basically be able to tick things off and have them sent over to the Visa account instead of, and go into the actual, so basically a transfer from one AP account to another. Are the new modules ARG part of this update available next week? Yes, they are. They are available, and basically talk to the person that does your installations, your business partner, and get it scheduled for when you want it. It is a big upgrade, so because of all new modules, it's something brand new. There's some database changes, basically because we added job costing to detail lines and into purchase orders. There is a database change from 6.2 to 6.3. So some reports may have to be updated, maybe not. All right, any more questions? Or let's say if I missed any questions. Oh, here's minimum requirements for this version, no different than our last one. It basically, software is becoming more and more hungry, and we're no different. You need a good server. You need a bunch of memory, but those are all cheap. Even throwing in an SD drive on the server is a great thing to do because for doing our searches. Definitely 64-bit. The server must be 64-bit. And then depending on the size of your data, how much RAM it uses, how much memory it uses, because our searches go into memory. That's why they're so quick and so easy. So you don't want to be using a 5 or 6 year old server that's on its last legs. You want to be on something fairly decent. Okay. Flexibility in recording. Reporting is no different than it was at this point. It is in Crystal Report still, although we are moving towards HTML, and you can see that in our sales module, which I didn't bring up. When I hit the print button here, you'll see a bunch of new reports at the bottom here called HTML. So these are not Crystal. So if for people that like to design reports in HTML, move that over. That's kind of what our stock reports look like. So you got choices between either Crystal or HTML. Of course, our plans are to move things, part of the program, toward a web-based situation so you can access data remotely. And if you need to print something, you can't print a Crystal report on a tablet. So you need to have HTML, so that's why we had to put that in there. When will the purchase order module have the same search functions as the sales order? That's 6.4. We've just finished doing it, but it won't come out until the new year or the first quarter, and it will have that built into it at that time. Can we offer our customers to view their online? Well, that's kind of what I just said, that at some point when we get to it'll be another year before we start to work on kind of web access to systems, but that definitely is in the plans. That can be done. And I believe there's some third-party products that may do that as well now, where you with a web store, of course, that allows them to view their accounts. 6.3 can be run in parallel with version 5. Yes, with 5.11. So 5.11 has the database changes that are required for the purchase order details. It doesn't have the features, but it has the database changes. So you can run a 5.11 along with 6.3. All right, well, thank you, everybody. appreciate it. We'll continue. We've got all our programmers working on version 6.4. They finished this version on time, which is amazing because software, as a lot of people know, that's pretty hard to do. We promised to release it in September, and we will be releasing in September. And at this point, like I said, we're shooting for end of January, but for sure first quarter of 2014 for the rest of the program. So thank you very much, everybody.